John Sheppard learns the truth about Sunnydale, and the Scoobies couldn't help but wonder why he is not panicking. Riley calls back, and Buffy is confused about his reaction. Weir and the others are on the way to Sunnydale. This is TH Stories 80. Let's dive into Chapter 4 of Tara Sheppard. The Summers residence, 1500 hours. Major Sheppard looked at the friends of the sister he had only just discovered and sighed. Standing with his hands in his pockets, he told them he was involved in highly classified work tied to national security. His file, he explained, was monitored 24 hours a day in case of any intrusions. Anyone caught hacking into it could expect serious espionage charges. He stole a quick glance at Tara, then at the red-headed girl who was staring back at him with wide eyes and pure terror written on her face. Yeah, thought the Major to himself. Should probably calm her down. She looks like she's going to faint. Or puke. Oh God, don't puke. Willow, right? The Major asked, looking at the redhead. She nodded, eyes still wide. I just wanted to tell you what could have happened so you don't do it again, he continued. Honestly, we'll put you in contact with the people responsible for the... What's it called again? You know, the thing that's supposed to prevent intrusions and all that? Firewall, said Willow. Yeah, it was a bit tough, but I found a back door and... Yeah, I'll shut up. Willow glanced at Tara, then quickly lowered her head in shame. They'll want to know what you did, said the Major. And how you did it. I'll push for just a warning. You'll probably have to sign something, but yeah. The Major told the Scoobies he needed to make another call outside and that he'd be right back. Once he stepped out, Tara walked over to Willow, who was still avoiding her gaze. The blonde gently reached behind Willow, wrapped her arms around her, and pulled her into a tight hug. Thank you for being concerned about me, Tara whispered in her ear. But please, don't do something like this again. I want to know about John the old-fashioned way, asking questions. No magic, no technology. Sorry, Willow whispered back, returning the hug. I swear I won't do it again. And she meant it. Willow remembered how angry and disappointed Tara had been when she used magic to make her forget their fights, or when she wiped the Scoobies' memories, acts that had ended the relationship when Tara found out. They had only just gotten back together after months apart, and Willow had no intention of losing her again. When they pulled apart, Buffy approached Tara. It was my idea that Willow check on the Major's file, Buffy admitted, scratching the back of her head. Tara, you know what the initiative did in Sunnydale. They were trying to find out about magic too, and I was really afraid he'd been sent here to take you and Willow by force. Honestly, I don't know what to think about him. But do you trust him? I know it's strange, Tara said softly, but I do. Is there any way that letter and picture could have been, magically created? It's possible, Tara admitted, nodding. But I would have felt something, and that picture of me has been missing for years, long before I came to Sunnydale. I still have my suspicions about him, Buffy said. Tara gave a small smile. I understand. We care about you, Tara, said Xander, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. We don't want to see you get hurt. I know, she replied, looking at him and then the others. But I trust him. The letter said I could provide some answers for him, but I don't even know the questions yet. I was hoping you guys would stay with me when he asks. You know we will, Willow said, nodding. Dawn stepped forward. So, he's your brother, huh? If, he takes you flying or something, could you ask if maybe he could take me up for a ride? Looks like Dawn has a new crush, Willow teased, nudging Buffy, who stood with her arms crossed. Hey, Xander cut in, glancing at Willow and Buffy before looking at Tara. I'm the one she has a crush on. No one else. Okay, that came out wrong. Xand, Buffy said just as the door opened and the Major walked in, sliding his phone into his pocket. So, he said, rubbing his hands together. Let's talk. Dr. Carson Beckett's quarters, HGC 1515 hours. Although Dr. Beckett wasn't leaving for the airport to return home to Glasgow for a few more hours, he had already changed into his civilian clothes. He fully intended to head into Colorado Springs to buy souvenirs for his excited family before his departure. Sitting down on the cot in his quarters, the doctor put on his socks, then his shoes, before hearing a knock on his door. "Come in," said the doctor. He was surprised to find Dr. Weir standing outside, along with Dr. Daniel Jackson. "Dr. Weir, Dr. Jackson, good to see you both. Are you heading out?" Carson?" said Dr. Weir. She glanced at Daniel, who shrugged before looking back at Dr. Beckett. "How would you like to go on a trip?" "I'd love to, but my flight—" "Major Sheppard needs us in Sunnydale," interrupted Dr. Weir. She and Daniel exchanged a quick look as Beckett stood there, mouth hanging open in confusion. She explained that they had spoken to Sheppard earlier, and he wanted both Carson and Rodney to accompany them as well. Carson frowned. "And where exactly am I accompanying you?" "California," said Daniel. "Sunnydale, California." "My flight," the doctor began again, picking up his tickets from a table beside his cot and showing them to the two of them. "I don't think I can make it back here on time. My family's waiting for me and—" Dr. Weir and Daniel exchanged another glance before telling him he was needed to verify Major Sheppard's story about having a sister. "Hold on there," said the doctor in shock. "The Major has a sister?" "Apparently it's a surprise for him too," said Daniel, leaning against the doorframe. "And he asked for you and Rodney specifically," added Dr. Weir. She also added that Sheppard asked for everything they had to be brought for Sunnydale. Carson sighed. "Everything as in scanners, medical equipment, the whole shebang," said Daniel. "I'm guessing he means things related to the Ancients." "The Ancients? What would the Ancients have to do with a city in California?" "It's just a guess, Carson," said Dr. Weir with a small smile, "but it's probably to do with him exhibiting abilities he never displayed on Atlantis." "Wait, what?" asked Dr. Beckett, startled. Daniel and Dr. Weir exchanged another smile, which only heightened his curiosity. "What abilities? Don't leave me in suspense here." "He just called again," said Dr. Weir. "He says he displayed telekinetic abilities. He pulled a bullet out of a young woman's abdomen." "Oh my," said the doctor. "Is she all right?" "Yeah," said Daniel. "He healed her." "Excuse me?" Beckett blinked. "Oh wait, I remembered the file on that ancient lass. Ayana," said Daniel. "That's right," Beckett nodded. "Yeah, she was able to heal SG-1 from a plague we believe wiped out most of the Ancients, at least the ones who didn't ascend or move to Pegasus. Even Jack had healing abilities the second time he downloaded the Ancient repository into his head. He told us he's been feeling different ever since he arrived in Sunnydale," said Dr. Weir. "So, while you check him medically, I'll have Rodney run an environmental scan. Maybe there's something about Sunnydale that allows him to use these abilities there, but not in Atlantis." "We've already spoken to General Landry," Daniel added. "He wants you to bring a DNA kit, along with any medical supplies that might be needed in case the Major's injured." "Very well," said Dr. Beckett with a sigh. "I suppose I can call my mom and tell her I've been delayed to help a friend." "Thank you, Carson," said Dr. Weir. Beckett nodded before walking out of his quarters. Weir and Daniel already outside in the hallway. Closing the door behind him, he told them he needed to gather supplies from the infirmary as well as anything else necessary for a full physical. Dr. Weir agreed and instructed him to have security help transport the equipment to the surface. As Carson headed down the hallway, Dr. Weir turned to Daniel and sighed. "Rodney?" Daniel asked. "Yes," she replied, smiling. "You get to tell him, Dr. Jackson." "Should have called heads before flipping the coin," Daniel muttered as he and Dr. Weir began walking towards Maclay's quarters. The Summers residence 25 hours. The Major was seated on the couch while Dawn sat next to him. He noticed that a still nervous Tara was sitting in an armchair with Willow perched on its armrest. The redhead was watching him closely while Tara kept taking shy, occasional glances in his direction. He gave Tara a small smile, which she returned before quickly looking at the floor again. Then he turned his attention to Xander, who was leaning against the wall, and Buffy, who was seated across from him in another armchair, eyeing him with suspicion. "So," said the Major, "about why you guys tried to look into my file?" "John," Tara began, drawing everyone's attention. Major Sheppard watched as Willow leaned in to whisper something in Tara's ear. The redhead searched Tara's eyes, but Tara gently told her to trust her. Willow nodded, then turned towards Buffy, who frowned but eventually gave a brief nod in return. The Major silently observed the exchange and guessed that Buffy was the leader of this group. Shaking his head, he turned back to Tara, who called his name again. The man leaned forward. I know this will be hard to understand," Tara said, glancing first at Buffy and then at her brother. But there are things in the world that go far beyond anything you've ever seen." "Okay," said the Major, nodding. Before you ask questions," Tara continued, let me just finish. Then you'll know why my friends wanted to look into your file." She went on to explain the existence of magic, the mystical convergence known as the Hellmouth beneath the city, and the way it released energy that attracted vampires, demons, witches, and warlocks. "Oh," was all the Major said at first, glancing from Tara to Buffy, Willow, and the others. "Okay." "Hold on," Dawn interjected, narrowing her eyes at him. "Why aren't you, jumping up and down saying, 'That's impossible,' or 'You're nuts'? Does this mean you're part of the initiative?" "Dawn," Buffy snapped, glaring at her sister. Dawn only shrugged from her spot on Buffy's armrest. What? "The initiative?" the Major asked, looking around. "What's the initiative?" At that moment, the phone in Buffy's living room rang. She got up, shooting Dawn another look before answering. While she was gone, Xander explained that the initiative had been a military group that almost destroyed Sunnydale. Willow joined in, describing their activities in vague terms. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Buffy's expression changed the moment she recognized Riley's voice on the other end of the line. "Hi, Riley," she said, leaning back against the counter so she could keep an eye on the living room. "Buffy," Riley replied, his tone warm but tinged with the distance of time. Memories stirred in Buffy, memories of the last time Riley had been in Sunnydale, when he'd needed her help capturing someone called the Doctor. She'd eventually agreed, but the shock of learning he'd married someone else had cut deep. Shaking her head to clear the thought, she realized Riley was calling her name again. "How are you?" she asked. "How's Samantha?" "She's fine," Riley said. "She says hi." There was an awkward pause before she added, I'm sorry for calling out of the blue. Are you busy? Where are you right now?" "Classified. Sorry," he answered before she could ask further. "Listen, I checked up on that name, Major John Sheppard." "And?" Buffy asked, anticipation rising in her voice. "I don't know what you're dealing with, Buffy, or how you even know that name," Riley said. "But the moment I asked some of my contacts, walls went up. My superiors told me to stop looking into him." "Riley?" Buffy asked, confused. "Look, all I know is that he's involved in something top secret, way above my level of clearance. If he were in the monster hunting business, I'd have heard about it. Whatever it is, don't bring any attention to yourselves. I don't know if he can be trusted. Just use your best judgment. And be careful, for God's sake." "I will," Buffy promised. "You guys be careful." "We will," Riley replied, telling her he had to leave for a mission, but would call again. When Buffy returned to the living room, Willow and Xander were telling the Major about Adam, carefully leaving out anything about her being the Slayer or Tara and Willow being witches. But it will come up, Buffy thought as she placed the phone back in its cradle. The click drew everyone's attention, and Xander and Willow stopped talking to look at her. "Buff?" Willow asked. "Everything all right?" "That was Riley," Buffy said, glancing at Willow, then Xander, and finally settling her gaze on the Major. "I asked him to ask around about you." "Oh boy," the Major muttered, leaning back. "And?" "He was told to stop looking," Buffy replied, sitting down as everyone turned toward Sheppard. "Something about this being way above his clearance." "If he was told to stop," the Major said, leaning forward, "then he probably doesn't have clearance." "John," Tara leaned forward too, meeting his eyes. Why aren't you, shocked or surprised or going nuts?" Xander cut in with a shrug. "Oh, I am," the Major said. "On the inside. I've just got to remain a bit cool, don't you think?" "Right," Willow agreed with a nod. "What was that thing you did?" Buffy asked. After I was shot and... "Wait," Dawn interrupted, eyes going wide. "You were shot?" She walked over and smacked Buffy's arm hard. "Ow!" Buffy said, rubbing the spot. "Yeah, sorry. I think I forgot to mention it." "Well, don't," Dawn said, hugging her. "Next time it happens, don't forget. I'm sure she's not looking to get shot again," the Major said dryly. He turned back to Tara. "I don't really know what I did. All I can say is that a few members of my team are setting up at the army base so that they can go over me." Tara studied her brother's aura and sensed he was hiding something. She thought about calling him out, but decided against it. It was likely tied to some classified project. If the military is conducting experiments on soldiers again... Willow began, looking between Buffy and the confused Major. She went on to explain that the initiative had dosed the personnel with special drugs without their consent. "Are you sure?" asked the Major suspiciously. "I used to be part of the initiative," Buffy said with a sigh as she leaned back in the armchair. "Even had to get clearance and everything." "Signed that handy non-disclosure too," Xander added, causing Willow to shoot him a sharp look and silently tell him to shut up. "Yeah, you shouldn't have told me," the Major said. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone you did, but what I just did wasn't like what you say happened in the initiative. That's all I can tell you." The Major glanced at Buffy, wondering what role she had played in the initiative. Was she a civilian specialist or part of the military, he thought. But he decided it was better to ask those questions later. Right now, he was more concerned with talking to Tara. He looked at his still slightly nervous Tara and asked if they could talk. Tara replied that she'd be more comfortable if her friend stayed with her. Whatever he had to say, she felt it was safe to say it in front of all the others. "It's, personal," the Major admitted. "It's all right," Tara said, nodding. "All right," Major Sheppard said, and then stunned Tara with what he was about to reveal. The dream he had seen. In it, he witnessed what had happened to her back at the Maclay house and again at the hospital when her mother died. Tara's eyes filled with tears as the Major mentioned what Laura had told her about Tara shining as bright as the sun. I remember," Tara said, her voice breaking. Willow gently placed a hand on the blonde witch's back. "She told you about some music box?" the Major asked, watching Tara's shock deepen. "I saw what they did after she was gone, Tara. I wish she had told my dad. Did they come after you left?" "Yes," Dawn said, looking at the Major and then at Tara, who was covering her eyes with her hand while Willow rubbed her back. "They wanted to take her away by force. The female side of my family has always had magic," Tara said, looking back at Major Sheppard. We can... magic," the Major asked as he stood and walked towards Tara, crouching down in front of her. Tara nodded but kept her eyes on the floor. Tara, I'm not here to hurt you. My team isn't coming here to hurt you either. They just know something's going on with me and they'll be examining me to find out what. I know some of them would be excited, others skeptical about magic, and they might want to see how it works. I guess it's up to you if you want to show them, but no one will harm you. Yeah, Buffy said as Major Sheppard stood and turned to face her. That's what you say. If the wrong people find out about her, Xander added, they'll use her for... Xander, Willow cut him off, then looked down at Tara while Xander apologized silently. Like I said, if she doesn't want to tell anyone, I won't. Buffy saw the look on Tara's face and her heart sank. She realized the blonde witch was already taking on the responsibility of being the unique one for all of them. Tara had already told the Major she was the one who helped beat Adam with the surviving members of the initiative, using powerful magic to protect Buffy and the others. And now, Buffy thought, glancing at Willow, then back down to the floor. If anything happens, she'll be the one taken away. Tara says we can trust this guy, but if we're wrong, we're all screwed. The reason, Buffy said as the Major turned away from Xander to look at her, I got clearance to be part of the initiative, though only for a few days, is because I'm the Slayer. The what now? Major Sheppard asked, confused. She hunts and kills vampires, monsters, demons. You know, stuff, Dawn said, then looked at the Major. Like, I'm sure you... Dawn, Buffy, Xander, and Willow all said in unison, while Tara just looked up at Major Sheppard. Tara wasn't the one who beat Adam, Buffy added, walking past the Major and standing protectively next to the blonde. It was me. Actually, all of us. And my high school librarian. Librarian? The Major asked. Yeah. Oh? Long story, Tara said with a small smile. I bet, the Major replied, smiling at Tara. I'm a witch too, Willow said, looking at the Major. I mean, I'm trying to cut down on magic and... Yeah. So, the Major said, looking at everyone. 2 witches and the Slayer. Yep, Xander said, raising his hand. I'm the fixer. You know, I fix the stuff that gets broken. Right, Major Sheppard said, scanning the group before looking at Tara. I won't tell my friends about you unless you want me to. But I'm sure Dr. Beckett will want to take a look at Miss Summers when he gets here. I kinda told him she got shot and I healed her. Fine, Buffy said. Then Tara asked if she could speak with the Major alone. You sure? Buffy asked. Tara nodded. Willow, Buffy, Dawn, and Xander left the house, heading toward the magic box. Meanwhile, Tara stood and approached Major Sheppard, taking a seat beside him on the couch. Is there anything you want to ask me? When did you get this letter? Tara asked, playing with her thumbs, relieved the nervousness had faded enough for her to be alone with him. I just got back from, let's just say, a place far away, the Major replied. I was part of an expedition that got lost, and we were rescued a few days ago. I was gone almost a year before I checked my mail in Colorado Springs. I had directed all my mail to my P.O. box before I left for the expedition. And, well, I found that when I got back. Oh, Tara said, looking down. Are you going back? Tara asked softly. I mean, you know, back to Colorado Springs? When are you heading back? Well, Major Sheppard said, I came here immediately after I read the letter. So, if you want me to stay for a little while, I could. Do you want me to leave? No, Tara said, turning to look at him. No, I would like you to stay. Can you tell me about my father? To be honest, the Major said, running his hand through his hair. My dad and I haven't talked in a long time. It's like a cold war between us. Why? Tara asked cautiously. We wanted different things, the Major replied. I wanted to go to Stanford. He wanted me to go to Harvard. He had my whole life planned out since I was 14, and I didn't want any part of it. He wanted me to take over the business. I wanted to join the Air Force. Oh, Tara said softly. Oh, Tara said softly. So, I joined the Air Force right after Stanford, the Major continued, giving a small smile as Tara looked down again. Then we had a big fight when I chose the academy over his dreams for me. Dave's helping my dad run the place now. Dave? Oh, right, the Major said. Now yours too, I guess. Brother. Oh. If you want to meet them, I guess I could handle seeing my dad again. Or I could just leave you there and... Don't you dare, Tara interrupted. Kidding, the Major laughed. I'd probably get drunk so that No, Tara said firmly. I guess we need to bring that letter. Yeah. How about we go in a couple of days, the Major suggested. Tara nodded. In the meantime, we get to know each other better? Agreed, Tara said. How about I check into a hotel and then we grab a bite to eat? Tara smiled and nodded. The two of them left the Tara smiled and nodded. Tara smiled and nodded. The two of them left the house, locking the door behind them. To be continued.